Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are starting here the Purdue esports stream for the Purdue Gold versus Purdue Black match for ECAC Finals of Division A. My name is Taruki, also known as The Aim, or the president of the club, and I am being co-casted here by Kitasura, or Emma. So, how are you feeling for this match, Emma?
Honestly, I don't know what to expect. I haven't seen a lot of gameplay from Gold. I think I know the players of Black better, but it really could go either way.
100%. I've had the pleasure of being able to watch both of these teams, and I think that they both have their strengths, but they definitely both have their weaknesses as well. And we will be seeing a pick of Ilios for the first map from Purdue Black, which I actually have not seen either of these teams play, so I'm actually very excited to see how it's going to turn out.
Maybe we'll see some big groups from Neves on the Lucia.
100%. So what kind of comps are you expecting here? I'm definitely expecting like some sort of maybe like Diva or like a Junker Queen.
Yeah, I was guessing like at least for Black teams.
Now arriving at East.
I don't remember exactly what kind of Gold like.
Initiating match.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but we do have a small mislabel for the teams currently on the screen right now, and perfect, they have been swapped. So on the left side we have Purdue Black running the tank lineup of J-Joke and 9, and for the DPS we have Blaze and Cupcake, with the supports being Nevest and Payload. And for Purdue Gold we have Razor on the tank with CVG Neve and Toodle as a DPS, with Curly and Astronaut and 7 as the support players here.
We kind of are seeing that rush comp from both three sides. At least with the Diva, Kiriko, and Lucio being mirrored.
Exactly. No, I actually have seen these comps being run before, and it seems like they are going to be running pretty much mirror comps here, except we will see Cupcake swap over to the Genji most likely, and CVG Neve swapping over to the Tracer. After he's out of spawn here. But the first map officially starts of this best of 7 series.
Hi.
Slight space advantage here.
Straight out, J-Joke gets down, breaking his armor, but it seems like he's using for engage onto Nevest. Nevest does get put down very low, he's 20, he might get a kick off, but Toodle and Curly both dies. Astronaut is able to get the mech of J-Joke and 9. As Razor's Diva mech is also popped. We are now left in the 3v3 situation here. See if anybody can be the hero in this fight right now.
Objective I think the majority capping the point actually.
There might be some audio issues with it, but it seems like Payload is getting dropped down to very low range here. And it seems like both teams are at a standstill. Both almost able to have almost 95%.
It's getting a big pick on Astronaut. They want to score down.
Also getting put down to 180 here. There from the team. Take up the 9 goals and Jake and Toodle picks that stagger off. That's for J-Joke and 9. The pulse bomb from CVG as mechs are traded out from both teams.
Let's kick this off.
Grab his building again. Get his mech back. Try to put Gold. Putting on the Blaze and CVG, and the point switches to Razor. Best gets picked as well. Seems that Black is just going to be falling back and regrouping for another fight.
Exactly. You know, we do have that 49% advantage from Black right now, and they actually have pretty much 5 ultimates coming into this fight. You know, Neve using that pulse bomb, but it unfortunately gets named by J-Joke.
Might see some early support to engage, especially the Kiritos.
Now as well, the Blaze gets knocked down early in the fight. Now the fight is
Will be on the side of Kiritos.
Portala and Dom is pushing as well, but Cupcake does look for Blaze, killing 2 on the goal side.
If they want this bottle, it's
but able to get the pick on the team you need.
And Razor get out.
Razor out here is very good. Allowing the team to go for the engage. And it is back in Purdue Black's favor here. We do still have the Diva Bomb and the Juice coming out from Black. We could see potentially coming out as they do still have the overcall to work with here. As Astros got no one by exactly. Oh.
Unfortunately, this is the even match.
Toodle does have that overclock, so he definitely save the next fight. The Cupcake goes in. Actually gets picked off by Curly. Really aggressive play coming out from Cupcake, resulting in a pick, but it seems like it will not matter as it is clicking towards 100% here. It seems like pretty fast.
Step right.
This ends now.
Knocked off the map, they will not be able to
Let the Kitsune guide you.
I think they're going to do very well that
Score
coming out from both teams.
1-0.
denying ultimates.
Definitely, you know, the fact that a pulse bomb wasn't able to get connected from Purdue Gold to Purdue Black was actually pretty big. You know, there wasn't really any resources forced out or pulse bombs being connected.
Standing by.
Not really seeing a lot of value coming out from the Tracer there right now. So I'm not sure if we're going to see a little swap or we're going to continue to see the same compositions. But it seems like the West is swapping over to the Ana off the Lucio.
I guess that's a good heavy metal. Although I think most of Elios is pretty good for Lucio.
Yeah, that is true. You know, they're probably trying to control like the high ground here, set up the best on the back high ground. Open up their back line for the pretty gold. Curly gets picked off really, really early by Blaze. And the rest of the team just falls shortly after.
You're not on my level.
Definitely
And point is slowly starting to get captured by Purdue Black. We do have a first cap. Purdue Black for both teams actually. We have both teams. Might actually get close to those off guard. Cupcake falls down to 20.
Golden most likely able to fall on the point.
Diving in.
Which is in Gold's favor, but we do have about 24% on side of Purdue Black, so slight advantage. Not as much as last time.
Yeah, not too shabby. No, Payload also is at 75% for their ultimate as well. As Eve is building up their full bomb here, so we might try and see if he's going to go for an early engage here.
Initiating defense on the objective and ready for action.
Alright, a little bit loud audio from the caster side right now, but Payload does get picked off really early, and they do have that rush, but Astronaut is traded as well, as J-Joka's mech does get broken as well.
Yeah,
like,
mechs out from both sides.
Yeah, mechs out from both sides. J-Joka does fall, and it seems like Purdue Gold is just going to keep control of this point right now.
Yeah.
Now building 40, nearing 50% here, but we do have both support ults coming out from Purdue Black, as well as almost most ults coming out for Purdue Gold here as well. So we could see potentially early DPS ults or support ults coming out from both sides.
Probably see some mirrored rushes again like we did last round.
Definitely. Rush does get forced out early from Payload as J-Joka goes for an engage onto the Tracers to actually fall down to J-Joka with their using their cooldowns of the missiles. The Vest does get traded out by Razor, but Toodle falls down. It seems like Purdue Black would just want to win this fight right now.
Curie getting very cut off from the rest of her team, possibly starting.
Razor is just stalling this point, able to stall it to probably like 80%, 82% here, which is actually a pretty big stall, but the pulse on does go out, but Payload does get picked off early. Blazeblade able to go for the trade onto the Diva's knee, picks off another kill of Cupcake. You know, this is definitely contestable by Purdue Black.
Definitely, but I think Gold just wants to get out.
Yeah, Cupcake is running back from spawn. They do have the blade and the bomb to work with here, as Toodle does also have that overclock. So you might see Cupcake actually go for an early blade here onto the back
there
line.
it is. Looking for the Sojourn. Actually, Sojourn does get beated. Probably not going to get back. Or maybe not. Nope, gets Suzu'd. Unfortunately, no kills from that blade and does get picked.
But it is still a 3v4 situation for Purdue Gold right now as Neeb gets knocked down to low HP. Blaze actually getting traded up by Neeb with the massive tracer differential right there. But Purdue Black is still controlling the point.
Big
But it
pick on
seems
the
like
payload.
maybe not much longer as Neeb is able to hit a nice clip onto payload. And multiple trades actually going out. Purdue Black might be able to actually hold this point right now as Neeb goes for a health back, trying to preserve his life as much as possible. Toodle trying to get a pick off onto Cupcake as Cupcake falls down to low HP, but JJoker9 does actually go for that engage. Neeb just tries to get out, get back to his team, see if he can just potentially just trying to get a full contest from his team. But JJoker9 just waiting there. Five Nights at Freddy's waiting for him around the corner. As it does tick towards 95%. Neeb just trying to go for the touch, but he does have the pulse bomb here. Maybe trying to look for Nivest. As Nivest gets knocked down to low HP, but it is the overtime clock starting. But Toodle gets picked off early from JJoker as Razor trades out onto Nivest. Now in the 4v4, pulse bomb does go out, but it seems like it does not connect. Blaze also building his pulse, but Nivest is dead with his beat. This is really unfortunate, but Razor gets knocked out of mech. This fight could definitely go either way, but Neeb's trying his best. Actually clips off onto Cupcake, but Beat does come back from the vest, and it seems like this might be a Purdue Black win for the first map. But the rush does come out from Payload as Curly's still trying his best. But Neeb does get picked off, and that is a first map for Purdue Black.
I think the fights there were so like back and forth. Just each team getting a pick than the other would.
Yeah, 100%.
Play of the game from Jojoka Steva was on that second round. Wow, this guy's goated.
Yeah, you know, we did see a lot of picks coming out from both teams, actually. You know, and the second that picks are being forced out, it really depends on which team was able to get the better pick and what that team can really do with it. And it seems like Purdue Black was able to do the most out of the picks that they secured. You know, a lot of times we did see the supports being traded out. But yeah, that is the end of the first map, and it seems like we will start the ban phase for the next map as we go into a short break. So grab your drinks, stretch, grab some snacks, get ready for the next map, and we'll see you soon.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
Welcome back, everyone. We greatly appreciate the slight break. We were having some technical issues for our stream, but it seems like they should be fixed for now. So we do see a map pick of Kings Row coming out from Purdue Black. So what are you expecting for this map, Emma?
I expect the same comps. I think that Rush is pretty strong on Kings Row, so I can't imagine why they would try to change it up.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I'm definitely expecting some sort of like a diva pick coming out here from J-Joka, potentially even Razor as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure of Razor's hero pool, but I do know that Jijoka enjoys playing Tifa.
Yeah,
She's not the best on King's Row, I think, but you can make her work.
Yeah, 100%. I'm excited to see what Neeb is actually going to pick here. Because I feel like King's Row isn't necessarily like the best for Tracer, you know. But we do see a Venture pick coming out actually from Cupcake. This might be a quick little troll move around and spawn pick, but we'll see. It seems like Neeb is going to be rolling out on that Tracer character.
We're seeing a Hazard from Jijoka.
There's no way he's going to.
I think he hates playing Hazard from what I've heard.
But yeah, we are going to see the same exact composition as we saw on Ilios for King's Row for Purdue Black here. And we are seeing pretty much the same comp, but a slight variation. Blaze definitely going to be swapping over to that Sojourn after going for a shot. And never mind, it seems like we are seeing the same exact composition. Do have Blaze trying to go for that early pick, but unfortunately Purdue Gold is completely playing behind cover, not really able to see that opportunity as he does swap over to the Sojourn, as Neeb does get forced out really early from J-Joka9. Dropping down, losing control of the high ground, but Neves actually falls down to really low HP, being able to get stabilized from payload there. Seems like they are going for an engage onto the back main as Razor falls down on really low HP. Might be able to get help from their team right now, maybe not, but J-Joka also with their mech getting dropped to really low HP. Cupcake actually dies playing really aggressively. Like they do get picked off really early as J-Joka9's mech actually gets broken as well, and potentially is staggered coming out onto the little D.Va as J-Joka will probably go back into spawn to swap off and back onto D.Va to get their mech back as they do swap over the Doom and back over. We do see Neeb with 87% to his pulse bomb right now. You know, I don't know if Purdue Black's really expecting the fact that he has pulse bomb for his fight.
Who knows, maybe we'll see another eat from Jijoka.
Definitely, as Razor's mech actually gets broken out. Toodle getting a trade onto Blaze, which could be pretty massive here. We do have Curly almost building up their Kitsune rush, but Payload does pop it down really early as Cupcake goes for a trade onto Toodle as Toodle falls, and a massive dash killing both supports at the same exact time. Really nice attack coming out from Purdue Black here. You know, controlling that high ground, playing slow, trying to play their angles as much as possible. And once they get their ultimates or go for an early pick, you know, they just collapse onto their backline.
Yeah, there's some very clean kills from Cupcake there for sure. Probably looking to fight around this first corner here for second point.
Definitely. And we do have 5 ultimates coming for Purdue Gold right now. So we could see an early DPS ultimate coming out potentially as they start pushing the choke here. Neeb going for some sort of pulse play. But it seems like they do go for an early blade from Purdue Black as Curly does pop out. Oh, both supports actually popped out as Payload gets traded out from Razor. Blaze falling down to really low HP, but Neves does have that beat to work with. But it seems like they will just play passively, you know, just try and wait for Payload to come back as Payload got picked off really early there.
Definitely, but the Payload is still very close to the beginning of the track, so they can easily regroup and respawn. Seem to be pushing past the choke. Going for the backline. We see Sojourn will come out from Purdue Black. Fortunately, doesn't find anyone.
Big picks coming out here. Payload trying to go for a trade on Curly, but unfortunately with Central right now from Purdue Black. Curly able to get out. As Curly actually does get put down 1 HP, but the TP does come through, but Invest is able to get the pick as Razor is left by himself trying to get out. As Neeb does go up to offer some emotional support as Razor tries to get out to not get their D.Va mech staggered. As Neeb does back up to go for Curly's teleport to see if they can potentially go for a contest here. But a rush just come out really early from Purdue Black as they should just be able to kite out. Yes, 100% a really nice kite coming out from Purdue Gold there. But it seems like Razor does get put down low HP with Toodle as well, but they don't have any support ultimates to work out as Razor does get broken out of mech, but Cupcake and J-Joka are both low HP. But Curly does get picked off early from Payload. Seems like J-Joka's mech does get broken, but Purdue Black will be able to cap this point here. And we do have 4 minutes left on the clock for Purdue Black as the final staggers and cleanup does come out for Purdue Black here. Curly, oh, that's a massive stagger coming out from Curly. This could lead for Purdue Black to be able to hold up to the second corner there, actually.
They are down to Joker right now, but should come back very quickly as Diva. See a little fight on the high ground, a little Genji versus Diva 1v1.
We do see Cupcake with 92% to their blade here, so we could see an early blade coming out, but beat
Definitely looking for the angle.
But Curly does go for that early Kitsune rush, but he does get put down a really low HP as Jijoka's mech is knocked out and secured the kill from Curly. But Neeb is able to hit a really nice clip onto Neves in the backline as Purdue Gold is cleaning up the rest of Purdue Black, putting a halt to their snowball.
I think, though, that in this next fight, Purdue Black will definitely have the ult advantage here. Might see some engaging DPS ults like we did on that first point, like maybe a Genji Blade.
Definitely. So a key ultimate here will be Astronaut 7's beat
Yep,
here
and
as the
does
blade
come
gets
out.
popped off early, but just barely with the skin of his something. I don't forgot to say him. He's able to pull out the beat, but both supports get killed by Jijoka 9. That's really unfortunate for Purdue Gold here as Jijoka's mech does get popped using the bomb to regain it. But Blaze does have an overclock in a really good position on the high ground as Payload pops Kitsune Rush, trying to end the fight right now as Jijoka trying to stuff them in their spawn. Is bomb does get forced out on point by
Not
Razor.
able to find anyone, unfortunately.
Fortunately not, as Jijoka does get booped off. But Toodle does have the overclock to work with here, but it seems like they might not need it as Jijoka 9 does get killed really early there. It seems like the map is yet to continue.
We're down to 2 minutes now. Wonder if we might see an overclock engage from either of these teams coming into the next fight.
Definitely. Oh, Blaze almost getting booped off the map as Razor tries to contest the high ground, but he does get his mech popped. Toodle has to go for an overclock here to try and turn the tides, but Beat does get forced out with overclock being traded from Blaze as well. Curly doesn't have that rush yet, so it's just so unfortunate as he gets picked off. Seems like Purdue Black will just be able to close off the map here with 1 minute 32 left on the clock. Which, you know, honestly, they had 4 minutes and 3 seconds going into this last point. And the fact that they were able to knock out down pretty much 2.5 minutes here is pretty impressive.
Yeah, but definitely a pretty decent push on the side of Black as well. First point was pretty fast. Second point was also pretty fast as well. I think it was just the third point where they struggled a bit more, possibly due to defender's advantage.
Definitely.
Think we'll see any hero switches coming up into this second round?
I'm expecting probably the same. Maybe Neve swapping to a different kind of hit scan, but I wouldn't be surprised if he just played Tracer again, to be honest. Cass. Yeah, honestly, with Toodle swapping over to Genji, I could definitely see this potentially working out. You know, Neve being a very, very good DPS player, primarily playing hit scan. He peaked, I believe, somewhere in the top 25 in the ranked ladder for North America as a DPS player. So, you know, just trying to get him onto his comfort is definitely one of the better plays that Purdue Gold can make. And, you know, Purdue Black just sticking the same exact composition except swapping the vest over to the Ana. You know, if it's not broke, you know, just don't fix it. You know, they're going really confident at a full cap going out for attack here. You know, I would be pretty relaxed right now if I was Purdue Black. But we do see a setup of Diva and Genji playing aggressively in the choke on Statue, actually, trying to force the enemy team to use their resources to gain the space here. It seems like Blaze is able to control the high ground with both of his supports behind him. As Razor does get knocked down to low HP, but he is able to get stabilized from his team. And it seems like Purdue Gold is trying to go for a rotate into Hotel side, but Jijoka 9 is just in their backline feeding. Suzu tries to come out, but to no avail. He just gets absolutely knocked out really early, and Purdue Gold could just absolutely steamroll this first round.
He's going to pick from Neves onto the Genji, I believe.
Yeah, that could definitely turn the tides here potentially, but it seems like that Purdue Black is just trying to back, you know, without their tank, they're just losing so much space right now. as Razor goes for an engage onto the backline, but Payload is able to teleport out, and they just have control of this point right now. You know, they only have one, but JJoka 9's able to come back very soon. It seems like he's actually contesting their backline right now. Seems like Curly does get put on low HP as Toodle drops to very, very low HP. Might actually get picked off here if he doesn't get stabilized. It seems like JJoka's mech is knocked, and that could be the first attack round as Neeb is able to secure that kill. And it's 2 kills actually coming out from Neeb, both of them headshots. We do see the first attack with 5 minutes and 11 seconds on the clock as they cap that first point. And we're seeing really, really fast caps coming out from both teams. Seeing like both of them could just be like attacker teams.
Definitely. I think it was tragic that JJoka lost his mech in both of those fights on the first point. Maybe just wasn't expecting the damage outfit from the Cassidy on the side of Purdue Gold.
Definitely. But we do have both support roles coming out from both teams here as Neeb does have that high noon. You know, but high noon's not really that good right now. Just kind of using it for zoning and taking space, but we do see an early nano engage coming out from Purdue Black. He's engaging onto their backline, but Neeb does pop that high noon. Trying to force out JJoka, but JJoka does get put down really low HP, but is able to get out due to that beat, or due to that nano actually, sorry. But it seems like Purdue Gold will actually come out on top. Really good ultimates coming out from Purdue Gold here. Both of them utilizing their support ults here as JJoka, or actually, sorry, Razor's coming back. He doesn't have mech, unfortunately. It seems like both of them were actually able to stabilize the entirety of Purdue Gold's roster. To keep Neeb up in that high noon is actually really, really massive.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're just able to answer that Nano Diva, and the bomb was not able to stall enough to get JJoka's mech back.
Oh wow, the early bomb coming out as Blaze does get picked off by Neeb.
This is
He does
zoning
have the
ult,
overclock.
honestly.
Really massive ult, but the blade does get forced out as Astros put down 1 HP. Both supports could fall down for Purdue Gold here, but JJoka's mech does get broken out, but Cupcake does get traded. Seems like potentially Purdue Gold is able to win this fight here as they do, going onto their backline, picking off Navest and Payload. Wow, that was absolutely massive ult actually coming out from Razor, you know, forcing Blaze to slide into the enemy team, and he had that overclock, you know, not being able to overclock in that fight really could have cost him that round there. And we're seeing similar time banks, you know, 4 minutes and 47 seconds when they went
About half
into
a
the
minute
third point.
more for Gold.
Exactly. You know, we could just see an absolute snowball here if Purdue Black isn't able to change anything. They do have the overclock to work with here, but it seems like Purdue Gold is just easily able to kite that. They just weren't ready for that. It seems like Razor's mech does actually get broken out for some reason.
It's a lot of
like
spam damage coming through choke, I'm guessing. It's really big for Purdue Black, honestly. Pretty much have no frontline presence when your diva is out of mech. It's not a position you want to be in.
They're just going for that early engage onto Neeb as he was maybe playing a little bit too aggressively, but he's just 1 HP and just barely falls to invest a double boop kill onto Neeb and Astro as Purdue Black just cleans up the rest of the kills. Razor might get his mech broken, and he does, which is really, really unfortunate here. But it seems like he might swap off and back on, or he might just keep it, honestly, and try to build up that mech. Yeah, we are going to see a swap to try and get that mech back. And this is the change that Purdue Black that I was talking about, you know, just trying to prevent that snowball. But Neeb with the massive headshot onto Blaze as the rush is traded out from Payload. The high noon is also getting popped as well as the mech is broken with Neeb getting a kill onto Cupcake with Toodle dying to JJoka's bomb. Oh my goodness.
Purdue Gold is up in this fight though, and are most likely going to be pushing the Payload into one fight territory on this final point.
Yeah, but we do have Blade working here for Purdue Black, but we still have both support ults coming out from Purdue Gold here, so we could definitely see an early Blade engage to try and force out those support ultimates. But Toodle does have Blade as well, but Cupcake does go for that early Blade with Blades being traded on both teams and beat. Rush is the advantage for Purdue Gold right now, trying to see if they can make anything happen with that cooldown advantage. But it seems like a massive Suzu onto the high ground trying to stabilize all of Purdue Black, as Purdue Gold has just pretty much just try to stabilize as much as possible.
Fortunately, Gold did use both of their support ults there. So
could be massive, but Asher falling down as Razor gets a trade onto Blaze with Cupcake falling shortly after. But Razor's mech is broken as both supports do fall on Purdue Gold side as well. And
an even fight. I believe it's
this could be massive.
2v2.
The Neeb clutch.
3v2.
The knee
Black.
clutch. Massive kill coming out.
Oh, they needed
The point. 49 meters. Payload falls down. Purdue Gold definitely just caps his point here. Cupcake falling down to that. Wow.
Unfortunately, could
Absolutely
not hide from that
massive.
bomb.
Could not hide from that bomb. And Neeb just hitting crazy dinks in just that zoning ultimate on point with that high noon just prevented Purdue Black from being able to touch. And we do see the Purdue Gold advantage of 30-something seconds, 35 seconds, something like that. Yep, 35-second advantage coming out from Purdue Gold.
Not a lot, but probably an extra fight.
Definitely, you know, just like even a few seconds could matter the most in this game. So we will probably see the same compositions coming out with Neeb. Yep, running that Cassidy. You know, it worked really well. Neeb was able to hit a lot of dinks on that Cassidy. And, you know, I had the honor of sitting inside the varsity room before the match started, and Neeb said, "Curly, my Cassidy is warm if you want to put me on it." And it seems like it was warm. He was not lying.
I think he was also getting supported very well because High Noon usually puts you in a very vulnerable position, especially against a diva, but most of the times he was getting beaten alongside it, which helped him live through it and get some picks.
Definitely. And, you know, honestly, a really good High Noon change, I would say, actually, with the fact that when you pop High Noon, you have a lot of damage resistance. In the longer it goes on for, the less durable you are and the faster you move. So, you know, honestly, it's a really, really good change. It really adds a lot to his character. But we do see Purdue Black starting off their attack, starting with lower time. His Blaze is trying to control the high ground as much as possible, with Purdue Black just complete. You know, that was so fast. Within 20 seconds, Purdue Black has just completely controlled all of the high ground. His Toodle's wrapping in the back, but he might actually get picked off. He's able to lead with his deep, like, just barely, but he actually does get picked off by J-Joka. So like this is just going to be the first round, or the first point being captured by Purdue Black. His goal is just trying to stabilize as much as possible. They don't really want to give this if they can.
Seem to be looking for a recontest. At
are
least Razor is definitely trying to get some touches in there just to stall a little bit.
Payload and Cupcake being put down 1 HP. His Payload is just barely able to get picked off by Astros. Razor's mech is broken with trades coming out from Purdue Black as well. Neeb trying his best to try and get a kill with High Noon as Neves gets picked off, but unfortunately that is not going to be able to turn the fight. His Payload is just 1 HP, not able to get the secured kill there, but you know, all of Purdue Gold did get late spawn, so Purdue Black is able to control a lot of this map space.
Definitely. I think they're probably going to be playing pretty close to the payload, though, it seems. Probably scared of a accidental C9.
Yeah, we do see both support ults and bomb coming out from Purdue Black here. So we could see an early rush to try and stabilize the point if possible. And Purdue Gold doesn't have any ults to work with yet. Maybe that B, maybe that bomb.
That early rush out.
Early rush.
Curl from payload.
The bomb to zone the point as much as possible. Unfortunately, Razor doesn't get anything, and they're able to contest the point. His Toodle is able to get picked off by J-Joka. Wow.
Joka gets 3 picks in a row. Just
4? Do we see the 4th pick?
playing
does
clean
go
up
out.
through.
Curly's trying his best
Facing
to
this
leave.
Fury. Unfortunately, not able to find the supports.
Doesn't want to greed here. He does have bomb if he gets demech, but that would be incredibly unfortunate. We could potentially see a really nice hold, or a really nice attack coming out from Purdue Black here. You know, we do have both support ultimates though from Purdue Black, with Blade coming out soon. We do see an early rush, but Purdue Black just able to kind of kite that, with B actually also getting popped from Blaze's overclock as well. Neves also mirroring the beat. They do have the better beat because they were later, but it seems like Cupcake does get picked off early as Razor's mech is almost broken, as Blade is able to just barely live from payload. J-Joka does use his bomb to get a kick onto Curly, as payload does fall down to CBD Neeb. Overtime timer just barely ticking down as Purdue Gold is just able to win that fight.
Still a very strong push from Black, I think. Definitely that first fight for the second point. Very good picks from J-Joka. And
Very, very
definitely holdable on the side of Purdue Black.
Definitely holdable. You know, just the fact that Purdue Black was all able to contest that high ground within just 20 seconds of the round is just really crazy. You know, Purdue Gold just lost so much space on the map, and they just kind of stayed in main. They didn't rotate around. They didn't try to regain any of the map control except for Tootle. But unfortunately, he was by himself, so he did get picked off really, really early. We do see another BattleNet game from Blizzard, Hearthstone, being shown on screen. Nice little Easter egg coming out there from our observers. We do see some cinematic views coming out as well of King's Row.
We see Nivest on the Ana again. Purdue Black likes to put Nivest on Ana on King's Row defense specifically. Guess she does get some good long-range angles.
Yeah, definitely. You know, if like
wouldn't call Nivest much of an Ana player, but
yeah, I'd have to agree with that. But you know, honestly, the Ana really works if the enemy team is not really able to push off that high ground. You know,
maybe they'll look to rotate in the same way, but it doesn't seem like that. Seem to just be going through Hotel actually. So underneath, pretty much the opposite way. Maybe going all the way around, or just forcing Black to turn around with Razor taking this high ground.
Yeah, it just kind of sucks because, you know, Neve just doesn't have the mobility that the rest of his team has, so he can't really rotate to the high. The supports are just kind of forced to stay on the low to try and support him. But Razor is just gaining so much map. Oh, J-Joka 9's mech is popped. He does get killed. You know, we've just seen really, really fast attack rounds coming out from both teams here as Nivest falls down shortly after with Cupcake falling as well. Blaze is trying to get out as fast as possible, but it seems like he's just going to try and stall the point if possible. Like, we might be able to see Blaze get a respawn. No, unfortunately, he gets a long spawn. But, you know, Purdue Black might just try and force out something here. They have a minute to work with here, so that, you know, they could just build their ultimate as Razor gets picked off really early by Cupcake. You know, they just didn't have the mech. They were just trying to get that mech back. But now Purdue Black's just able to play really close up to this choke, even when they're down a player. We do have the curly Kitsune rush, feeling at 90%
support old advantage, definitely for gold.
100%.
Might see an early rush coming out.
Oh, a dink coming out from CBD Neep onto Cupcake as that rush is popped as well. Halo does have the rush, but it seems like they just don't want to invest any ultimates right now. They're just trying to force out as much as possible as J-Joka is trying to stall the point. As we do start nearing overtime territory, 20 seconds left on the clock. Purdue Gold have to push it pretty much the entirety of the second point. In Purdue Black, all they have to do is just win one singular fight here.
They definitely have the ult advantage. Coming up on pretty much everything except for Blade here.
Yeah, that Nano Blade, if Cupcake's not able to build it in time, that could be really unfortunate for Purdue Black here. But they do have that overclock OC if they really are desperate for it. Neve does have that high noon to work with on the point to try and zone, but Palo does pop out that early Katina rush as Nivest uses that overclock onto Blaze Blade as B.
Everybody's ult's coming out all at once.
Right now. With a massive bomb coming out from Razor. Nivest and Blaze falling down as J-Joka goes for the trade onto Neve. Tootle using the blade here to try and get any pick, but Cupcake falls down to low HP, going for the Mega. It seems like Purdue Gold is still just holding on. Blade does get popped out from Cupcake here as they don't have any ultimates to trade out.
He's able to find Razor's mech.
But unfortunately, picked off early as J-Joka's mech is broken as well. And we see the stall coming out from Nivest and Blade trying to stall that point as much as possible. But they still have 4 on the point. 5 now. Neep coming back on the tracers. Nivest gets picked off early. And we're going to see Purdue Gold winning the second map with 1-1. What an absolutely exciting round right there.
Absolutely. Very, very close match. I definitely agree with what you said, that I think both these teams are rather attack-sided because we didn't get to see much gameplay on that first point at all in any of those rounds.
Definitely. We do see the play of the game coming from Neve with a massive headshot coming out. You know, absolutely dominant performance from Neve here. Just able to secure those kills with that high noon, and the amount of value he's getting from that high noon is so strong. You know, Purdue Black thinks that they're able to engage onto that, and unfortunately Purdue Gold is just able to stabilize that so much to where unfortunately it causes Purdue Black to get picked off really early. But yeah, now we are going to go to a third map of this best of 7. And we will also be going on a very short break. So feel free to sit back, relax, and type your predictions in the chat of who is going to win this next round. So we will see you soon. Welcome back, everyone, from that short break. We are going to be moving into a third map here of Esperanza, which is Purdue Black's choice here. And I did see them actually warming up on this map prior to this match. So, you know, Purdue Black could just be really ready. They know exactly what they want to do for this map. And yeah. You know, I'm kind of predicting the same exact comps coming here. You know,
I was about to say that.
we might see Neeb on the Tracer again, to be honest. But you know, I'm not sure. He was really performing pretty well on that Cassidy, so we could just see him playing that Cass yet again. But honestly, with this map, I wouldn't be surprised if he were to flex over something else. And yep, we do see Neeb on that Tracer character with J-Joka rolling out on that Junker Queen for the first time in this series. But we do see the same mirror comp coming out from Purdue Gold. Actually, same mirror comp as in what they've been running, but Toodle is running the Genji actually now instead of the Sojourn.
Is this Junker Queen gonna stay? Seems like it.
Yep. So we will see this Junker Queen play coming out from Purdue Black with Blaze now on that Cassidy off the Sojourn. You know, maybe he's feeling a little bit inspired by CVG Neeb as Purdue Black rolls out onto the middle of the map. Purdue Gold tries to meet them. You see early offing of pressure being forced by Neeb as Curly gets put on 1 HP with Neeb. Nice kill onto Blaze. Blaze falls early. J-Joka trying to secure a pick onto Toodle. If possible, Toodle's just 1 HP yet again. Everyone's falling down to 1 HP on Purdue Gold side as Astro actually gets picked off by Cupcake as Cupcake's refragged by CVG Neeb. You know, the fact that multiple people on Purdue Gold just fell down to 1 HP there and they just weren't able to secure that pick is just so incredibly unfortunate for Purdue Black. You know, just being able to secure 2 kills in that fight would be absolutely massive. But unfortunately, they were not able to, as we do see Purdue Gold having the advantage of this round with Neeb playing aggressively as this Tracer, trying to build that pulse bomb as much as possible. But Curly just has such an incredibly early rush here. We might see an early rush as Purdue Black might just be able to kite out, but J-Joka actually does go in and try and trade the backline as Astro falls down at low HP. Razor backing to try and get some heals as possible, but J-Joka unfortunately overextends. Tool being put down 1 HP as well as Nivesh falls shortly after to Curly, and we are seeing an absolutely dominant performance coming out from Purdue Gold right now as Cupcake might get staggered, but unfortunately not. Absolutely dominant performance coming out from Purdue Gold right now. You know, what would you be thinking right now if you're Purdue Black?
I would probably be looking to switch the Junker Queen. I don't know if it's working very well for Purdue Black, but you know, we'll see. Maybe we'll get a
an early pick on it with a massive
huge, absolutely
Neeb,
massive,
killing 2 people on Purdue Black, but Neeb gets traded out by Cupcake, and
you
now they're
even.
We do see Palo with a rush here, so he could use that early, but Bomb does get forced out. As Razor goes for the remake kill, but unfortunately not able to secure anything. Trying to leave, go for Cupcake, but it seems like they are split now. Payload using that rush early as Curly falls down. It seems like it just might be a completely wasted rush there, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely an overinvest, I think.
Just winning that fight, but you know, that's just unfortunate.
What? They have all 4 of their
own. The Queen ult coming out onto their whole team as Razor does get forced out as Neeb just barely falling down to 1 HP. Is able to leave. You know, that honestly is a pretty massive stagger coming out onto Razor.
Definitely. I wonder if the J-Q was needed.
Yeah, definitely. But we do have 3 ultimates still working for Purdue Black here, with also 3 ultimates coming out for Purdue Gold. But Purdue Gold has both support ults. You know, we've seen both support ults being stacked multiple times in the last game. So I'm wondering if they're going to be doing the same thing. But Cupcake does have the Blade here. So Blade gets popped early with Beat as well. Curly might go for rush here, but Blaze falls down really early. This Toodle with a massive kill, double kill as well into both supports on their backline. Cupcake falling down 1 HP as well, being killed by Astro with a massive boop. Really, really strong fight going out there. You know, Cupcake went with that early Blade, but unfortunately that Beat was able to counter that Blade so easily. Toodle just going for those dashes to try and secure the kills and able to kill both of the backline.
We still got 3 ults on the side of Gold. Might see an early pulse bomb here. Neeb seems to be looking for it.
Definitely. He's in their backline right now, putting down...
He's not able to take the pulse. It's a high noon coming out from Blaze. As well as a beat from Black Team. Not able to find any picks with that high noon.
Blaze put down a 1 HP as he does get picked off by Toodles. Toodles able to use his dash reset to leave as JJoka 9 falls down shortly after. And with multiple ults being traded on both sides, seems like Purdue Gold will be able to come out on top. And this could very well be the end of the third map here. Purdue Black getting absolutely just walked on for the whole entire duration of this map. But Toodle does get picked off early here. He's not in the fight, so they will be in a 4v5 situation for this fight. But Payload is close to that rush, with Razor close to that bomb as well. Hopefully Purdue Black doesn't have to utilize any ultimates here, and it seems like Purdue Gold is just going to be kiting out. Give that space, wait until they have that pressure of that fifth player. It seems like Payload does have that early rush potentially, able to utilize that to gain that space as Payload does pop it early. Neeb in their backline trying to secure a kill onto Blaze as Razor's mech does get forced out with bomb, but Asher does have that beat to work with very soon. Seems like they're just completely kiting right now, just stabling as Razor gets put down a really low HP. Hopefully that beat doesn't have to come out yet. It seems like JJoka does have
Neeb
that
looking for another pulse in the backline here. Will he stick it this time?
He's just occupying
just
two
some
players, forcing out recall. The best can put on 1 HP, does get killed by Toodles. Curly's rush does get forced out, but Razor's mech is forced as well. Neeb able to secure that kill onto Blaze as JJoka is stuck by CBG Neeb. You know,
Big
honestly,
plays from Neeb.
massive plays from Neeb, but Cupcake's able to get that kill onto Curly, which could suck so much for Purdue Gold here because they're not able to play as aggressively as they want. But it seems like Payload does swap over to the Moira, making them want to play way faster than they already were. And let's see how Purdue Gold is able to respond to that Moira swap. You know, if they're able to just continuously kite, you know, Purdue Black can just run out of resources, but Cupcake does go for that early blade, but the beat going from a high ground, just barely being able to pop it. But Curly does get traded out from JJoka, unfortunately. Seems like Blaze is also low HP, but Purdue Gold is going to lose their second fight of this map in a very good position. You know, they were able to force out Blade from Purdue Black with a swap. And it seems like Neves is actually able to get picked off as well. Oh, the stagger coming out onto Razor. Is Razor's just trying to run out, trying to find a place that they can get out. As Cupcake is able to get that kill. But Razor might be able to get that close respawn just barely in time, but actually not anymore actually. So Razor will have that long spawn as Purdue Black will have 3 ultimates to work with here. Purdue Gold only has that blade right now. They'd have to build that pulse bomb and bomb.
And they'll probably get this pulse bomb pretty quickly. We've seen so many of them be building up throughout this map.
Definitely. With
Really
the
pick on the
massive
payload.
Payload, that's absolutely detrimental for Purdue Black.
We do have a beat from the Fest, which comes out on the side of Purdue Black. Will they get any picks off that?
They wanted to try and get this fight as fast as possible to maybe get Payload that close spawn, but fortunately just not fast enough as Curly gets killed off by Blaze as well. Seems like Purdue Black will be able to get that close spawn. And, you know, honestly, not that much being forced out from Purdue Gold there. You know, they're still going to have 3 ultimates to work with here closely with that rush. You know, Purdue Black invested 3 ultimates in that fight. So if you're Purdue Gold, you're in a pretty comfortable spot right now. You know, with 2 minutes, 30 seconds left on the clock, having your DPS ultimates with no support ultimates to counter right now, you know, you could just definitely go for an early pulse or a blade. JJoka getting put down low HP, but we do see that blade coming out from Toodle. Trying to force out Payload. Payload's fate does get forced out. We see like 2 kills coming out to Black, but Toodle does get killed by Payload, unfortunately. But Payload has that coalescence to work with here.
Will it find anyone?
Seems like Cupcake does fall down. Payload is not able to get a single kill with that coalescence, unfortunately. Curly getting put on 1 HP. Blaze falling shortly after.
We still have pulse bomb on the side of Purdue Gold. Could be some early picks here in the next fight.
100%. You know, we haven't seen Neeb use his pulse in 2 fights, which at the rate that he's been, wow. Neeb's actually just stealing the cart, but Purdue Black's just able to get those kills right there. Maybe they just weren't expecting Purdue Black to take that engage. It seems like Neeb just stalling that point as much as possible, which is an absolutely massive stall, actually. Nobody can hit him, but the Vest finally able to secure that kill. And in that time, just all of Purdue Gold is just able to respawn and take space on that map. And Neeb's just on that tracer, so he can just get back really, really fast.
Might see early blade from Purdue Black coming out. There it is, but unfortunately...
Oh, the beat.
Yeah.
Like, there is no Suzu for Curly right now as he gets put down really low HP. He might get forced out here, but he does have his TP to work with here. He does use the Suzu to stabilize point, but it seems like Purdue Black might be able to win this fight here. They are winning this fight. As Curly, let's hope he doesn't get staggered here, because that could be really unfortunate for Purdue Gold if he gets killed here.
Not sure he has anyone to TP to just yet. He's definitely looking for it. Surprised that Black isn't chasing him more, but
yeah, you know, they're still down their queen. And oh, the massive pulse. Neeba just waiting for that moment to try and secure the fight win, and he's fortunately able to just kill Payload really early. Like they will have the high ground presence, but they're still down the Moira. But they do see an early overclock coming out from Blaze, trying to force the high ground, but he does fall down to low HP, just barely able to get killed off, but he's able to get stabilized, but the bomb does get forced out for Purdue Gold. Razor just barely living to get his remake as Cupcake falls down shortly after. We do still have the beat and potentially Coalescence to work with here from Purdue Black. It seems like Razor's low HP as Neep does get killed by Blaze Blade here. As the beat does get forced out, we saw the Coalescence, but all the Coalescence is being used there. That is so unfortunate for Purdue Black. Just multiple times that they invested ultimates in fights that they just don't need to, that they need in the next fight. Now Purdue Gold just has a Blade and Rush to work with here.
We are in this one fight territory, so you really want to have the ult advantage here, which unfortunately Black just is not.
We have Neeb on the Symmetra as well, as the payload is being pushed, as the push bot is being pushed just barely. 13 meters left as we almost have the rush to work with here from Curly, trying to build it as fast as possible. But Astro gets picked off really early, but we still have the Blade and the J-Joker 9 ultimate being forced out as well. Blaze getting traded out in the back. 2 falling out of 1 HP, just barely able to live. J-Joker 9 able to kill Curly, so there's no sustain in the fight. Razor's trying to live as much as possible, but he's demeched. Neeb trying to go for the kill as much as possible. Can he win this 1v3 situation or stall it as long as possible, as Astros are able to come back? Still doesn't have beat to work with here, but Neeb is just stalling as much as possible. That is an absolutely massive stall. Purdue Gold might not be able to touch here in time as it's ticking towards 3 meters, and Curly trying his best to touch, but unfortunately just barely is able to touch, or just barely is not able to touch in time, as Purdue Black is able to completely reverse sweep that. You know, they had such a disadvantage going for a majority of that round, and Purdue Black is just able to just look past that, make some swaps, and just walk over Purdue Gold for the rest of the map.
Yeah, I was going to say, I did think in the beginning it was going to be a pretty short map, but Black was able to turn it around. I think the Moira pick was interesting, but I guess it ended up working out. Yeah. Especially in that last fight, you really think that Gold would have won that just based on ult economy, but unfortunately...
Exactly, you know, it definitely just boiled down to early picks coming out from Purdue Black onto Gold. And, you know, honestly, the Moira pick, I'm not too surprised by it, you know. J-Joker 9 just really wants to play fast into the enemy team, and unfortunately they just weren't able to do that with the Kiriko, as the D.Va just continuously started diving into the backline. So it definitely just proposed a Moira pick to just try and play as fast as possible and utilize the heal output from Moira. And just the fast-pacedness from Moira as well. Seems like we are going to be moving to Flashpoint. But what are your predictions here?
You know, I feel like this series has been so back and forth. Like, all of these games have been very close. Kings Row was, Esperanza seemed to be kind of a stomp, but ended up being very close as well. I believe it was Gold that won Kings Row and Black that won Helios.
Yes, you are correct.
I'm hoping to see a map 7 here.
Yes, Purdue Black did in fact win the first round with Purdue Gold. Yes, there we go. And so what kind of map are you expecting here? You know, I'm potentially thinking like Suravasa might play into the Queen from Purdue Black. I'm forgetting the Flashpoint map, New Junk City. Oh, that could also be unfortunate for the Queen. So, you know, what are you really expecting Purdue Gold to run here?
predicting flat New Junk City.
Well, we will see very, very soon to see what Purdue Gold picks here. And it seems like we will be seeing a Saravasa pick coming out from Purdue Gold here. Which honestly, I could see. You know, Tracer is relatively dominant on this map on a few points. And, you know, I can definitely see the mobility of the Diva coming out for the benefit of Purdue Gold here. But honestly, just the pure aggression for some of these points could just lean in Purdue Black's favor. But we will be going into a fourth map. Can Purdue Black lead the series 3-1 here, or will Purdue Gold be able to stabilize and go 2-2, hopefully going to a 7th map? I think that would be the best outcome, to be completely honest. But honestly, I am expecting a Venture pick from Blaze.
Yes, Venture is actually pretty good on this map. We'll see.
I've definitely seen them play a little bit of the Venture on Lijiang, but it seems like, you know, they just want to stick with the Sojourn, which I don't really blame them. It seems like Neeb is going to swap off that Tracer and just stay on the cast, which honestly might just be the better play with his dominant performance on King's Row. Just with Tracer, it really it's really hard to make things happen just by yourself on Tracer, and if you don't really have like a team able to back you up on that, it could be really difficult to play. So playing a consistent damage dealer like Cassidy could definitely be what Purdue Black needs here. We do see rolling out from both teams as Neves is on that Lucio, using that Juno ring to kind of get out spawn a lot faster to gain the map control before Purdue Gold can, as we see Toodle on the Genji contesting the off angle, as Purdue Black does take control of the point first. They go for a quick engage onto Neeb, as Neeb gets picked off really early with the pick onto Razor.
Razor gets pulled back into Black team. Will he live? Does not. They're able to demech Razor. Unfortunately, probably leaving Razor as Baby Diva. Just not what she wants.
This is so unfortunate. This is going to give them at least around 25% on the point.
Definitely.
The fact that they just don't have a Diva mech. You know, just Neeb just kind of getting caught out of position there. With playing against this comp, you just can't really be playing close around corners because they can just engage so fast on you. We're seeing that again as J-Joka is able to kill the little Diva really fast. Securing a second pick on Neeb as Toodle falls just barely after. And yeah, just Purdue Gold just is going in the wrong spot. They just have to be going on the right side of the map to try and open up as much as possible to allow to allow Neeb to hit some dinks on that cast. But it seems like he does swap over to the Tracer to try and contest the off angle and force out their backline as much as possible. And hopefully we'll see something happen.
Black is already 75% on this point. Definitely in one fight territory here.
Definitely, but we do see an early beat potentially from the Vest here as Razor gets put on 1 HP, just barely living, as Curly almost has his rush to work with here, but unfortunately the mech is forced out by J-Joka. Curly just not even going to use his rush here, as it's just such an over fight, especially when you just don't have mech or really ultimates to work with there. Purdue Black just has the advantage there.
They seem to be chasing the supports full team, just rotating to the next flashpoint.
And we do see a Hazard
out.
swap, rocking the Team USA medallion, or charm rather, actually. And we do have 4 ultimates working out from Purdue Black here as a fast engage with Blade and a counter beat coming out from Purdue Gold, with also Curly using their ultimate as well. Both support ults being traded, Blade being forced out from Purdue Black as J-Joka uses their Queen ultimate as well. Toodle falling down on low HP as Neeb goes for the pulse, unfortunately doesn't connect, but J-Joka 9 is able to get that kill with Curly falling down shortly after from payload. Seems like Purdue Black is just able to play so incredibly fast, faster than Purdue Gold is able to handle, and they're just ending these fights before they even begin.
Very unfortunate double support ult coming out from Gold while Black still has that beat coming up. Most likely going to be used against that Genji Blade from Toodle. Yep. The Blade
being countered by the beast from the Best. See a small little standstill here as they're trying to stable. A Cupcake gets picked off really early as Neeb falls shortly after. Unfortunately, Toodle and their whole entire team just 1 HP trying to live as much as possible, but unfortunately they're not able to, with a massive knife pulling Astronaut by his neck back into him. As we see Neve swap just back into that cast. His team is just getting absolutely walked on, and he just needs to try and make something happen here with these swaps. His Toodle's also just seeking that Sojourn and trying to run that double hit scan here. So they're just trying to play that long range, which is just really hard to do on a map like Saravasa.
Razor does have that hazard ult here, possibly going for one on the off angle.
Hazard ult coming out.
One down main.
Picked off. He's just definitely going to die here.
He's able to get the pick on Joker.
The trades onto the back line of Purdue Gold. The
Black
rush
is up by 1, up by 2 now. Most likely be able to cap the second flashpoint here. Desperate stall from Astro, not able to stall for very long. And the second flashpoint does go to Purdue Black.
We just need some sort of change to come from Purdue Gold here. A lot of it is honestly just boiling down to the map pick. You know, Purdue Black's just able to play around those corners and play those chokes and just explode onto their backline as fast as possible. Just not really giving Purdue Gold the opportunity to really just react with their own ultimates. So this could just very well just be a 3-0 on Saravasa for Purdue Black. But hopefully we see the support ultimates trying to turn the tide of this map, trying to get their first fight win potentially, because we see the early rush and Moira ult coming out from both teams. Flex support ultimates being forced out as the rush just gets forced out with Beat being traded. Curly just barely being able to live through that Beat. And Neves is actually booped off the map with Neeb. Massive double kill of the High Noon, and they're able to secure the kills with 3 ultimates coming out from Purdue Gold, with merely just 2 ultimates being traded from Purdue Black there.
Yeah, Purdue Black will have the ult advantage coming to this next fight for sure. Might see that early Genji Blade. Doesn't seem that Gold will have any support ults to be able to match that unless we get a Curie ult very quickly from Curly.
Definitely, and that's the first fight win coming out from Purdue Gold there. Hopefully they can continuously keep it
There's
going.
that blade
This
coming
Cupcake
out.
goes with that blade early.
Finds the pick on Astro. Unfortunately does get picked by Razor, but Payload's able to find a pick onto Toodle. Seems that Black is falling onto this point, making space, and will cap it.
That exit frag on that payload is so unfortunate that Jijoka is able to secure that kill. But Purdue Black is able to control the third and potentially final point for the first time this map. We do have both Overclock and Hazard ult coming out for Purdue Gold here, with multiple ultimates for Purdue Black as well. Razor getting forced out by Purdue Black, and Purdue Black is trying to play really aggressively. And it seems like, oh my goodness, the deflect.
Hinder.
The deflect onto the Hazard ultimate from Cupcake onto Toodle, but unfortunately not able to secure the kill. But it seems like they are just trying to go for that point as much as possible. Jijoka 9's in their backline, able to secure a kill onto Curly, potentially another, but he does go for that for the Queen ultimate, able to secure 2 kills onto Toodle and Astro. He's trying to end the fight in the map right here, right now. 79%, ticking closer to 100. Purdue Gold just might not be able to touch, especially with that pick onto Razor. It seems like we will see a 3-1 lead for Purdue Black, as they're just not able to even contest in time.
To get some speed to the point.
And there we go, just an absolute steamroll coming out from Purdue Black here on this 4th map. And just wow. That's all I have to say. Just wow, an absolutely dominant performance coming out from Purdue Black. With unfortunately
from
Astronaut couldn't play the game.
I believe
Just
this
has
was
to be that
the
boop
boop.
kill.
Yep.
The beat to stabilize their team.
I believe the boop also might have pushed them into the LOS of the Cassidy ult.
Yeah, and we are now going into the 5th map here, as Purdue Black secures the 4th and potentially 2nd to last map of the series. You know, if you're Purdue Gold here, you just gotta try and think of something that is gonna work here. You know, you just kind of got reverse swept on map 3 and absolutely just dominated on map 4. You just gotta try and figure out what the problem is there and try your best to fix it in this 5th map.
Yeah, I think Purdue Black is playing very quickly and very well, and I think the double hit scan that they're running, at least on Saravasa, was just not able to respond to those kind of fast fights that they were taking.
We are waiting for that map pick for Purdue Gold here, as I'm not really sure what game mode we're going to go into. I assume it's just going to go back to control here.
I
But
believe so.
or escort, actually. Also, it does say that Sarvasa is a push map on the thing, but unfortunately, it's just a bug, so it's all good. But yeah, we will be moving to a escort map, which honestly, I would be scared if I was Purdue Black going into Purdue Gold here on the escort map. I would be scared, especially with CVG Neeb just on that team. You know, his pure mechanics on that hit scan character or hit scan role in general is just so incredibly strong, and I'd just be scared of him playing Widow and just killing the whole entire team.
Definitely a good Widow can be super annoying. Especially on
Definitely.
maps like, well, not so much as they used to, but like Havana, Rialto a little bit.
Exactly, especially something like Gibraltar as well. And you know, honestly, maybe Purdue Black's not scared. You know, they were talking to me about how they played in a scrim yesterday against a very good Widow, and they were able to shut them down. So maybe they just have a plan going into this 5th map of how to counter a very, very good Widow. But you know, that Widow was nowhere near the skill level of CVG Neeb, so we might see a potential map win from Purdue Gold, as we are still waiting on the picks for Purdue Gold. But you know, honestly, if I'm Purdue Black, I'm just kind of chilling. You know, I'm up 3-1. If I still have 2 more maps I can lose, and I can go back to game modes that I'm comfortable in, and I know that I'll be able to pick a map that I want to play. You know, Purdue Gold has everything to lose right now, and Purdue Black just can really do whatever they want. They can definitely experiment. They can just play the same things that they wanted to, or that they have been. They can forfeit, go get some dinner if they really wanted to. You know, they're just able to really do anything they want, being up 2 points in this first of 4 series. But it seems like the indecisiveness of these teams are being displayed right now. So we will go to a short break while waiting for Purdue Gold to choose their escort maps. So we will be back very soon. Welcome back, everyone, from that short break. We are going into the 5th map now with Purdue Gold picking Gibraltar, Watchpoint Gibraltar for that escort map. And we also do see Saravasa saying Flashpoint now, so very big W on that glitch right there. But yeah, you know, honestly, I'm not surprised that Purdue Gold decided to go with the Watchpoint Gibraltar pick here, especially with just how strong Neeb could potentially be on that Widow, or just like hit scan in general with Ashe. But I'm definitely interested to see how Purdue Black is going to be playing around that, especially with like the Diva pick. But let's see what heroes are going to be picked out for both teams here. And we see the Ballfire, Widow, Zen, Mercy for Purdue Black. And it seems like they might just be messing around a little bit in the spawn, you know, just flying around. Energy is high, you know, just making that whiteboard in the spawn spin as fast as possible, you know.
You said Brigitte and an Ashe. Well, Ashe makes sense here, but Brigitte, interesting pick from Purdue Gold.
Yeah, with Curly actually on that Brigitte as well. You know, we did see a little bit of Brigitte from Curly when he played on varsity last semester. But let's just say I hope to never see it again. But we will be seeing it on this map as Purdue Black swaps to their actual composition. Cupcake going for the TP. They can set their supports up on that back high ground. And we'll be swapping over to that Genji after doing so.
Little Diva v Diva on the high ground, although Jojoka does drop back down to low ground. Seems like Purdue Black are trying to contest this high ground a little bit, but Gold does have the advantage as all of their players are up there. Although Razor does drop. Find his way back on the high ground.
Cupcake does get forced on a really low HP, but just Blaze is just able to force his payload to just pushing up the ramp so much as Razor finally goes down to contest Blaze to make him leave. But that is a lot of cart pressure coming out from Purdue.
They more than halfway to this first point.
It's Curly, just barely falls onto Blaze as Cupcake's able to get traded out. But it seems like Neeb is just trying their best to poke out their
down
back
both
line.
their supports.
Oh, what a massive shot coming out from Neeb onto Blaze. Big headshot to secure that kill. It's like a Razor's trying to get out as Jojoka's mech is broken by Tootle. It seems like Purdue Blacks just has to back up here, especially with Blaze just getting picked off as well. Still playing on that Tracer as Tootle's just marking cart, making sure that I can't get pushed up any further. And we do almost have Nano to work with here from Payload. But we also have Bomb coming out from Razor soon as well, as Blaze gets forced out to the back of the map. Curly getting put down to 1 HP, engaged by Jojoka, but it seems like he's able to live for the near future as Tootle gets picked off by Neves. As Astro jumps off the high ground, seeking safety from his Brigitte and Diva, as Nano comes out onto Jojoka, trying to engage their backline potentially. As Neeb is playing the high ground, getting forced out by the Nano Diva with the massive sleep coming out from Astro. Jojoka might get killed here, but he's able to use his Diva remech if he needs. But they are able to C9 the point, fortunately, as Purdue Black moves on to the second phase of the attack round. As Cupcake goes for the cleanup onto both supports. CBG Neeb just getting cleaned up by Blaze as well, getting some payback for that headshot earlier. As Razor might actually get demeched here. It seems like Purdue Black will just take a step back, reposition their backline to play on that high ground. Make it really difficult for Purdue Gold to really engage there. As we slowly start pushing the payload closer and closer to the end of the objective. We do see the early rally Bob coming out as well. As Neeb is able to secure the kill onto Cupcake's blade. As Neves just leaves. You know, honestly, very smart play coming out from Purdue Black, not risking any of those late staggers or potential demech. As Neves is picked off by Razor. As Jojoka also gets slept as well, engaging onto their backline, but it seems like Jojoka gets put down 1 HP and he doesn't have Bomb to remech. It seems like Payload is also picked off by Razor. As Blaze gets killed by Razor as well. We do have multiple ultimates working here for both sides. Purdue Black not having their blade in Nano, but
That is a
JJoka
big
does
stagger
get
on
killed
JJoka.
so late there. He didn't have his mech, but just the length of that stagger, you know, Purdue Black went into this with 4 minutes on the clock. And there's slightly more actually, I'm pretty sure.
Slight old advantage for Purdue Black.
Yeah, but they do have the Nano Blade to work with here from Purdue
Yeah.
Gold, so if Neves isn't able to utilize that rally correctly, this could be a fight win for Purdue Gold. Fortunately, Tula gets put on 1 HP and doesn't get healed from his team, so he falls down really early to JJoka 9. His knee is just trying to poke onto that point as much as possible. His Cupcake falls on 1 HP. JJoka trying to save them as much as they can, but fortunately to no avail. But the Nano does get traded out onto JJoka 9 as JJoka pressures the high ground. Razor contesting the point as much as they can, but they're antied. Nano also getting forced out by Astro. As Neve gets killed by JJoka, Blaze falling down to Toodle as JJoka and Team Black seems to be able to kill most of Purdue Gold here. And Toodle unfortunately losing the 1v1 bomb being forced out onto point. Razor about to get DMAC here, but able to use the bomb. JJoka might get DMAC. He does get DMAC, but it's really unfortunate. It seems like Purdue Gold might just barely be able to hold on as JJoka's trying to do as much as he can on the point. It seems like he is just getting staggered as much as they possibly can. And it seems like Purdue Gold is just able to reset onto the high ground. They do have around 10 meters or so left by the time that Purdue Black's able to come back. So they don't really have to worry about a C9 for the near future. But who knows? Maybe Blaze is able to sneak past and Purdue Black just has 0 ultimates to work with here. As Toodle still has that blade with Neve building that Bob and Curly with that rally as well. Purdue Black might just try and go for a dry blade or a dry fight here. Seems like JJoka does fall down to really low HP, trying to farm that Nano as much as possible. And Purdue Gold just really playing passively, waiting for their Neve to try and maybe get a kill, force out some sort of resource. It seems like JJoka is just controlling the high ground as Razor goes for the kill on the backline, but the blade does get traded out as Razor's mech breaks. Toodle anti, not able to get much help, but he does get the triple kill. As Curly is able to get that 4th kill, JJoka just may be able to get out in time as he is able to get out, utilizing that Diva perk to eat that, to use his DM to actually get some of that health back as he eats some projectiles, which might have been able to actually save him there.
I think it did.
And we only had to see the blade being forced out from Purdue Gold, and we still have multiple ults for Gold. And we see Black, the Nano Blade actually coming out. Curly popping their rally. Gonna try to keep their team alive as much as possible, but the Bob gets forced out onto point as Neep falls down early. Razor trying to go for some sort of refrag, but JJoka able to kill Astro shortly after. Bomb not able to get much value as JJoka actually falls on Sue. Rally being forced onto point. Purdue Black should be able to win this here unless that bomb's able to catch people out, but unfortunately not able to. It seems like they're just able to stabilize on the point. With that rally, Need coming back and Astro able to get that kill on the Cupcake. Purdue Gold might be able to turn this, but it seems like they will most likely not be able to as JJoka actually does get back with that Diva. It seems like they will able to clean up the rest of Purdue Gold. And very, very, very close fight coming out there from both teams actually. A lot of ultimates being used, and now we are down to 1 minute and 15 seconds when Purdue Black had over 4 minutes going into that point.
Yep. And still have Nano on the side of Purdue Gold, which may seem coming out here early. Well, otherwise, not that many ults across the board. They seem to all just be spilled out on that last overtime fight.
Definitely, you know, we could just see this Nano being used for a defensive way, and it seems like they are just, which honestly, Purdue Black is like kind of out of position right now, especially their backline. It seems like they might be able to get a pick, but Razor's antied and might get DMAX soon as Toodle actually falls down as well, and that is such an unfortunate potential fight loss from Purdue Gold, especially utilizing that Nano as Toodle tries to come back.
Now we have a Nano on the side of Purdue Black, as well as a rally, which is being used a little bit aggressively here.
And Bob also getting forced up by Neve as a Nano in the anti on Neve. That's so unfortunate as 2 picks come out from Purdue Black onto Gold. as everyone starts falling down shortly. That nano being forced onto Neves is very, very good for keeping the backline alive. And it seems like they're just barely trying to get it into overtime, which they might be able to. Neve's able to touch the point, stall it long enough, try to force that overtime as much as possible. As the blade does get forced out, Toodle dies really early and has that blade, but unfortunately, Purdue Black just has the ult advantage and the map control to just secure the rest of that attack phase.
Not a terrible hold from Purdue Gold to get them into overtime. I think that second point, they were able to hold it for pretty long as well.
Definitely. You know, that second point is definitely a very big struggle for a lot of teams, especially with the limited lanes that the attackers are able to push from. The defenders just really just have to look at those entrances and exits and just kind of just control them. And if they do, then they are able to hold the second attack portion of the map for a relatively long time. And we did see that with Purdue Black going into it with slightly over 4 minutes, I believe, and finishing it almost barely in overtime. Yeah. So very, very good defense.
I think that early nano on third point from Purdue Gold was not able to find any value, and since they didn't have any other ults, it kind of all fell down from there because Purdue Black then built those up in that fight and was able to brig ult on an ult, and it captured the third point.
Definitely. You know, just the fact that Nano Diva wasn't able to get anything is just so unfortunate for Purdue
very
Gold.
Surprising, actually, because as you said, they didn't seem to be out of position. We are seeing the same comps from both sides again. The Genji Tracer, Diva,
Full
on a
team
bridge.
TP. The massive
Big
getting out the Purdue Gold. I wonder if Purdue Black can get a pick as Astra does fall down. It seemed like this is just an instant fight loss for Purdue Gold as that nade just antis pretty much the whole entire team. Unfortunately, Razor's not able to eat that, or anybody's able to block it in time, which is really unfortunate. As it seems like Neve is just playing in their backline. Or actually, that was somebody else. My bad. As Razor just controls that high ground. Blaze kind of scared to take that fight on the cart, but he does have the break pack advantage. Forrest got recall really, really early, which is really good for Neve because he's just able to sit on this cart and force it for so long. But unfortunately, Razor's just so low HP, trying to live as much as possible. But Cupcake does get antied and killed by Curly. Is JJoka's mech
in the spawn?
Oh my goodness, they're just going in as Neve has just been sitting on that cart the whole time, being pressured by some of their backline, which might be one of the reasons why their front line didn't get a lot of healing, but also they were just playing way aggressively.
Definitely. Very aggressive play from JJoka there, unfortunately. Cost him his life.
Like Neve is going for the Tracer diff. Does force out the recall and has a lot of the advantage. Looked like he just glitched through the map there for a second, but Blaze does get secured by Razor. As Purdue Gold should just win this first fight right here if a Pulse does connect onto the backline, but unfortunately it doesn't, as Nano gets forced out onto JJoka as he gets slapped. But the Nano also gets traded out onto Brig, as well as Astro gets forced out of low HP, but Razor does fall down after utilizing their bomb. But Curly does use that rally to control their backline as much as possible. But the Diva remech is stunned, so Purdue Gold should just be able to win this here.
That was a huge stun from Curly.
Absolutely massive stun coming out from Curly there. You know, preventing that Diva remech really kind of changed the state of the fight there. You know, not really allowing Purdue Black to really control that point for much longer. And we're seeing pretty much the same time bank coming out from Purdue Gold. So
let's see how second point ends up going for Purdue Gold on this attack.
Definitely.
Might see the same situation as we did for Purdue Black.
We do have both DPS ults coming out from Purdue Black here. Pulse connecting onto Curly with Blade, also diffing the Genji on Purdue Gold side. But Neve trying to go for that refrag as Cupcake falls down. Neve just trying to force this cart as much as possible to give his team the advantage and then just leave. But he does get contested on point from Blaze, but Neve does get out as fast as possible. And actually, he might actually die here. I'm not really sure where he is. But it's like he is able to get out. Toodle getting forced on low HP as Deflect is forced out. Purdue Gold could just go with some DPS ultimates here. There is a rally from the Vest on the enemy team, so that could be very unfortunate for Toodle if he decides to go for that blade. But Neeb does have that pulse bomb to work with if he truly desires. Missed cooldowns coming out from Payload here, as JJoka slowly starts giving space as he drops HP, but Toodle does have that blade still to work with here. But Neeb, unfortunately, gets killed by Blaze off the screen. Toodle trying to force potentially a rally, but Neves is able to hold it with that trigger discipline, like ult discipline, I guess. As Toodle does just barely fall down maybe as Blaze greets for the kill, but unfortunately he's not able to secure it. Gets out, but he still has his DPS ult. And Purdue Gold actually has almost all 5 of their ultimates right now. Same with Purdue Black, they have 4 of their ultimates.
Early Rosito coming out. Nano from Payload.
Oh, the massive anti onto the backline. But their backline...
Yeah, Cupcake too far into the backline of Purdue Gold. However, Purdue Black's able to find 2, now 3 picks.
Oh, the blade. That's not the best time to use the blade there, especially when you're down. But
down
maybe
3,
Toodle might be swapping there, actually. But it seems like Razor does use the bomb to try and get that, to keep that mech, which honestly is very smart. You can't really kill yourself and jump off the map that much in Gibraltar. So it might have been the correct play there. But Purdue Black only has bomb to work with here, while Purdue Gold still has that pulse and nano. So you could potentially see Purdue Gold breaking this hold that Purdue Black has had on them for the past 2 minutes. 3 minutes actually now. As both backline is just killed yet again. Purdue
Big
Gold
anti from Payload.
just need to find a way to make this rotation happen without their backline dying. You know, just the vulnerability that Purdue Gold has to go through in this rotate is like no other, and the fact that Purdue Black is just able to control that high ground and just look for the freest nades possible is just so unfortunate for Purdue Gold's time bank.
They do have this nano advantage, which we may see coming out early again, but we'll see.
Yeah, if they're gonna go, they need to go fast because Payload and Neves are both building up their support ultimates with Cupcake and that blade very, very soon. We could potentially see the end of the series right here. But JJoka able to eat that pulse bomb, but a nano engage going onto the backline, but nano is forced out with both support ultimates on Purdue Black's side as well. But bomb being forced out as Razor's mech is broken as well. 45 seconds left on the clock for Purdue Gold here. Purdue Black just has the advantage. They're able to set up on this high ground and just play as slow as possible as Astro gets killed very, very late. They're only going to be able to get their final contest probably around 15 to 20 seconds left on the clock. And Purdue Gold only has 1 ultimate to work with here as Purdue Black has their blade and pulse bomb. We could definitely see the end of the series coming out with Purdue Black on top.
Blaze looking for this pulse bomb angle, it seems.
The anti curly falls down early with Astronaut in this.
Full support's down for Gold.
Let's see if Purdue Gold is able to turn this, but Toodle falls down to the anti-Neeb.
They got Neeb and Razor left.
Down.
Razor potentially going for a very desperate last-minute touch here just to trigger that overtime. Just get it off. Probably won't even get to remech here. Unfortunately, it does get killed as Baby Diva before the bomb is able to go off, and the timer does run down, and Purdue takes the series 4-1.
Wow, an absolutely dominant performance coming out from Purdue Black here in this ECAC Division A Finals. You know, I don't think we've really seen this before. Purdue on Purdue in the finals to win the division.
Yeah, very exciting though. Very hype.
Very exciting, very hype.
And well played
indeed.
from both of the teams. Definitely close games all around for sure.
Very, very. You know, honestly, even though the series score doesn't really reflect it being close, every single map was incredibly close, except from Suravasa, of course. But I feel like almost every single other map was so incredibly close to the point where it could have genuinely just gone either way. And just the pure performance coming out from every single player on both these Purdue rosters has definitely made me very, very proud as president. And I'm very glad that we were able to have both these Purdue teams make it to the finals. And we have Purdue Black coming out on top 4-1 against Purdue Gold for Division A Finals. And yeah, we greatly appreciate everyone coming by for this for the stream, and feel free to send your MVP results in the chat. And we may potentially be able to get an interview onto what the chat believes is the MVP. But other than that, we greatly appreciate everyone coming by for the stream, and I hope you all enjoyed. So we will potentially be back. All right, welcome back, everyone. We are here with the player of the match, Blaze.
Oh, thank you. I didn't think I got this, but shout out Joey, I think.
All right, Blaze, how are you feeling about your performance in that final series for Purdue Black?
I felt great, except Kings Row. We don't talk about that, but Esperanza too. But everything else, I felt like Suravasa and Gibraltar, I really brought it back. But yeah, it felt really good.
Yeah, we all know that you're graduating soon. So, like, how do you feel with this being your final match?
I'm excited. I'm glad I won this. We won this division because my first semester on Steel Team, I got second, which really bummed a Steel Team and like us and Palo especially. But we finally won finals here. But yeah, I'm excited that this was my last. I do regret not joining other stuff. There's other stuff I wanted to do, but yeah, I'm glad we won though.
Yeah. We really have never seen a match between two Purdue teams in the finals like this. So obviously you probably feel very proud I got to be part of this.
We are very excited. We were very, like Joey especially, me too, and the Vessel. Our whole team was very excited about this match.
Right. So what was your guys' game plan going in?
Oh, we knew we scrimmed way more than Gold Team, and we knew Curly and Nee were our biggest threats in terms of like survivability and kill potential. So we made sure we focused those two, and we always respected Nee. We knew we had to respect Nee, but we also stick to our scrims. We scrimmed so much more than them, so we stick to our game plan. We practiced, and yeah, we just stuck to our game plan where I play Soj, Cass, and whatever I'm comfortable with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you've definitely come a long way, especially me, especially you playing on varsity last semester, and I was coaching that, so I'm very proud to see one of my ex-members able to secure the win, but also Curly on the enemy team as well, who was also on varsity. But I'm very, very proud of you and the length you've come in the past semester.
Right. So I have a final question to wrap things up. You've been in the Overwatch for a while, in the Overwatch club for a while. you're graduating. How are you feeling? How do you feel like this club has, helped you and inspired you at all? What are your feelings surrounding that?
Well, this club was great. Like, it brought me so many friends outside of just like, I brought a lot of friends that I could probably continue playing games with after graduating. But there was obviously ups and downs for me, but it was great overall. Definitely, I wish I could stay one more semester. I wish I joined earlier, but I was on console, so we didn't have a console team.
All right, any shout outs you want to give tonight before we let you go?
Oh, and my entire team. Like, Joey was great captain, great coach. Obviously, him being a top 500 tank was very helpful. He was a great shot caller, fight planner, but then also, like, Young being there to help me dive. If I was ever slacking, he was there. And then Neves and Payload, great heals. I put so much pressure on them for healing me, but they do their best, and I'm always grateful for them.
Aw, yeah, well, congratulations on the win. Congratulations on your MVP.
Congratulations.
And yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and that is the end of the Purdue esports stream. Thank you everyone for coming by, and we did fortunately see Purdue Black on top 4-1. So we will see you on the next stream.